Hello guys and welcome to the channel. WvW here, and if you're following me for a while, I made a condition holosmith a long time ago and it was nerfed, a little bit changed. It still kind of work but not as it's supposed to. So I was asked to make a condition engineer build, and here it is. I took it pretty literally. I made a core condition engineer, and this build actually for me feels like the only way that fits my build on how to play condition. So without further ado, let's get right into it. The benefit of this build: it works great in 1v1, extremely good in duels, but it struggles against people with insane amount of cleanses. If your enemy have too much cleanse, you practically, if they're really good, you can't kill them. And they can't kill you too. This build have a stupid amount of kiting and survivability, and you should be fine, but you will fight people sometimes you can't kill. Other than that, it have a lot of benefit on fighting 1v1s, or even like really bullying people into falling to its damage. It's really still good with extreme small scale fights like 2v2, 2v3, stuff like this, like barely up to 5 people with no serious support. But you can actually change it to fit fighting with a group better using bump kit. You don't need serious kite at this point because your group helping you, and you can still have some super speed, CC, supply crate, and you have extremely better capabilities to fight with groups with blind catches like immobilize, double skill actually, right from the pistol, stuff like this. And even better CC once you enter bump kit. Because of this trait, we have a ball, and this we have a lunge, and this we have a stun, and this we have a knockdown that unblockable. So you would even have good CC for your group. Another downside is this build is difficult to play. I consider it, well, it is, yeah, not much of kits, and even if you're roaming solo and not fighting serious outnumbered, you would be only using pistol, so it kind of fools you to think it's easy, but it's not. Every skill matters, and even if you enter a fight and you mess up, you eat a burst that you shouldn't. Like because you didn't have a cooldown ready. If supply crate wasn't ready and you entered the 2v1 or something like this, it can be extremely harmful. You could lose fight in an instant that you could have win in an instant. So this build gonna need some training if you're gonna play it. It's if you main engineer, and you're actually master of the class, you're gonna be extremely fine playing something like this. But for other players, it's not as easy to adapt to, in my opinion. Maybe I'm wrong because I'm main ranger, but the way you manage cooldowns is extremely accurate in this build. So the benefit, like I said, is you play it like a thief with a high burst. You can kite like crazy and watch people die. Simple as that. And you're gonna watch in my fighting videos a really weird fight that look like I'm fighting bad players, which actually completely not true. Some really good players like melt, like they didn't even expect what was happening. As a burst was insane, and that's it. Almost look like one shot sometimes. As it's insane as a burst to look in, like when people don't really know how to cleanse it, or like they don't have enough cleanses, but if they have a lot of it, actually this build become incapable of killing. You have a lot of kiting, so you should survive too. The people who have insane cleanses will not usually be able to kill you, but it's like it's gonna hit a stalemate at this point. So that's another downside. But a lot of condition builds, most of them in this game actually, struggle with insane cleanses. So like you really need to know when to hit, how to manage your damage against cleanses. So it's not only to this build. So anyway, let's go into the build itself. I'm gonna get into traits, equipment, and everything, what you can change, what's not. And even there is 2 versions this build, and it actually can work with other versions in PvP. So let's start with the trait itself. I'm going with firearms 1, 1, 3, alchemy 3, 1, 3, 311, sorry, and tools was 213. So the thing is, you can't really change this build. You can play another build if you want, but this build gonna like it's not working the same at all. Is that you have double pistols and medkit for this version. I'm gonna explain why for the rumor, and elixir C and supply crate. You can't change anything of this, but we have playing with group version when we actually use bump kit, and this skill is up to you. You can use slick shoes, which I like it for the unblockable knockdown and cripple, and you can use the anti-thief style with utility goggles, and you can use elixir U if you're not fighting a lot of corrupt and you want the stability. So it's kinda up to you, but it just has to be a stun break, of course. So I'm gonna explain my options in the trait for now. And for firearms is kinda necessary for the support for pistol, higher condition duration for pistol 33% and higher condition damage. This will help especially with groups, but if you're using bump kit and running by yourself, you could use thermal vision if you want, but I would like pinpoint distribution better. And extra burning duration with 1 burn stack on 10 seconds on critical. Alchemy benefits us through healing, through boons gain, through another condition cleanse. As you see, we have a lot of cleanse in this build. 1, 2, 3, 2 from supply crate, full cleanse from this skill, and inside the mid kit we have this field that boldness cleanses. So we have a lot of condition cleanse. And that's why we're supporting even HGH, we're supporting elixirs for 1, 2, 3, 4 elixirs. Some people would like this, especially in Wondrous Awarded. I don't recommend in PvP. It has a lot of cooldown, like long cooldown. I don't like it. But this skill give you more healing. Every time you cleanse any condition, you would have regeneration, no cooldown. So it's insane, you know. And tools which actually benefit us for way too many things. First thing, that our tool build skills all have lower cooldown. And we have another stun break here that give us resistance, protection, and remove the blind, and even the convenient of instantly stun break without even pressing anything. Sometimes it's better. And since we're running gadgeteer, we actually have only 32-second cooldown for this. And we're running supporting for kits, streamlined kit. So when we enter mid kit, we actually get 2 seconds, besides the swiftness, we get 2 seconds of magnetic aura. And that's great because first, it's a way to defend ourselves against projectile and a burst stealth, stuff like this, like a dead eye or a Sikkim soul beast. And not only that, if we are kiting and we trigger the magnetic aura, this one, and we triggered it, we cannot be like headshotted from a thief to interrupt our healing skill, for example, or to interrupt our supply crate or mid supply drop to remove conditions. It will pass. So any from far CC kind of a style, like a fear necro would hit, of course, but any other style like what thieves do and stuff like this will not work, since we have a projectile friction. So you're gonna have to be really careful on using this skill. And this is actually one of the reasons why I don't run many kits, like barely this one, because I wanna always, if I need, to access mid kit to get the projectile reflection. And like I said, we're running gadget here, so even if we're running most of the time this skill, we would kite to insane range, 1200. And gain super speed, we'd have lower cooldown, we'd have the cripple extra, stuff like this. So now for the gear, you do not have to follow the same gear I do. I only used what I have, and I don't have a perfect setup for gear for this build, because it doesn't make much difference if you have exactly 100% or lower for condition duration, what toughness. It doesn't really make much difference. Okay, you want to have as much as possible, of course, but doesn't make much difference. So I'm going with full Trailblazer, except my weapons are actually dire, and I'm running Malice and Agony to get as much possible as bleeding and burning, since I want even my auto attack to be harmful. And I'm running this, actually most of the time I don't run this. I use critical chance rings, so I would have enough critical chance to trigger the burning and this pointless bleeding, but whatever. You could go full Trailblazer, it wouldn't even make that much difference. I'm having some critical, like I have this trait that would give me 10% more critical chance to bleeding through, since I would have auto attack gives me bleed, so this is actually 34, and with something like Fury that we can get from this skill, it's now 54. So you would have most of the time decent critical chance to trigger stuff like this. You don't really need to pay attention. So if you're asking, is a specific other style work, like if dire work? Yes, it does work. So does rapid work? Well, too much precision, but yes, it work. It's okay. Celestial, I wouldn't really recommend, since the build doesn't really have power application, so it's gonna be a waste. Anything that have power or ferocity is a waste. We don't have power. The pistol doesn't scale good with power. It scales horribly actually. So don't use anything with power in it. Mix a condition, precision, expertise, vitality, toughness, even healing as much as you want. But don't use anything with power. My rune is actually Balthazar, but even the rune can be changed. I played with the Traveler rune actually, and instead of this setup I used Malice and Smoldering for more burning duration, and the Traveler gave me 10% on condition and 10% on boon duration, so it was kinda decent too. I liked the movement speed that constant, cannot be corrupted, like the swiftness we gain from medkit and from this skill too. It wasn't corruptible, so that was great. So even that can be changes. Agony and Malice, stuff like this, even those can be changes. If you go full Trailblazer with something like Balthazar, and you find Malice enough, or you can use Agony and use Torment Sigil. So all this is kinda optional, whatever fit your style. You can even, since you're using kit, you can use something like Geomancy. If you use really high critical chance like Rapid, you can use even Sigil like Earth. Whatever fits you. If you want too much dodges, you can use energy. Like I said, it's not mandatory. Just try to get your damage as much as possible. If you have full ascended with or legendary with what's called infusions for expertise, for example, you can push your damage. So do as it fits you. What you can change is like the style. You can't go with changing medkits, you're gonna lose this one. You can't change something like tools, you're gonna lose the second stun break. Those skills you can change. Supply crit, it is really important, and I'm gonna explain why. So those things you can change, but the gear is completely a mess. Use 2 pistols and everything else do it as you want. So let's explain how this burst, or where your damage come from, and why do I think this build is kind of difficult to play a little bit. First, this skill is beneficial, like really useful. That gives us blind and confusion, okay, and it bounces 4 times between enemies. So if you hit your enemy as the same person twice, like a ranger and their bit, and then the ranger and then their bit again, you would have double the damage on your enemy. This skill, the second one, Poison Dart, is amazing for a lot of poison damage for one target focused. We don't have piercing style, so that's why it is 1v1 amazing, but the more the worse it can get. Our auto attack do really decent damage, but take too much time. Honestly, beside Ranger or maybe a Blade Reaper, No one utilized bleeding good in this game entirely, but it would still be a really good source of pressure, bowling evades and dodges from people, and unnecessary cleanses. It can be really good. And blowtorch, try to always hit it from close range, and it will go through everything in like in your face. So there is some simple combos most people who played engineer know, like when you use the immobilize, blowtorch, and then probably goes rocket kick to trigger insane amount of burning. And what's good about this is that people need to immobilize first because you can't dodge, so they will eat blowtorch, and even if they dodge it, I would usually use rocket kick first actually. So I would trigger rocket kick, and even if they dodge it, I can hit them with blowtorch. Another thing I would like to use, I can be really close to trigger the most damage from this skill, but I don't press move when I hit blowtorch. I actually stand still, so the character will always be facing its target by itself. It will spare you the mistakes of people moving around you. Okay. You don't also have to use glue shot only. You can actually knock people down with your slick shoes and then hit them with a double combo the same way. Another thing is you can also knock people down, stun them with a supply crate, and immediately it's gonna stun, blind, and then immobilize. You can trigger blowtorch, you can mobilize again, you can hit with kick. Supply crate usually can mean that this fight is over, unless the people really know how to fight against it, or they simply kite out of it and never look back to it. They want it to over or pull you away from it actually. And if you're using something like bump kit, you can also in the same way trigger the ball, and then burning, confusion, bleeding, and you can catch them inside with another immobilize, so you can keep really catching people here. You still have the knockdown, you still have the other immobilize. Like, you choose your rotations. There's not really a perfect rotation, and especially if your enemy have access to stability and he didn't use it yet, you don't waste your CC in this symbol. So another thing you need to know about supply crate. Supply crate but immobilized turret, a healing turret, so it will heal you for the overcharge, and remove 2 condition from everyone, and it would use this one too, so it would trigger immobilize. I didn't notice actually trigger stun, so I'm not sure was it actually do the electrified one or not, but it should. And it uses smoke screen from this one, and then start doing burning. And as you see, the burning is really high. It's gonna keep every 3 seconds going with this about 1.5K to everyone around it. So supply crate is really powerful, and that's why we use it for the stun, for the complete healing, I mean cleansing for everyone, for the damage, for the immobilize. It is insane. For the PvP version, there is 2 styles I would play condition engineer here. The first one, they both use actually rapid amulet, Balthazar rune, 2 pistols with agony and smoldering. The first version, it's go completely the same build, nothing ever changes. But the second one is a different one actually, which is completely different, because I would run it with inventions. 3-3-1 on invention and with full elixir build. Now, since we have an anti-corrosion plating, this skill would remove a condition from everyone it hits. This skill would remove 2 conditions from me, since they trigger protection, and it's a healing skill that trigger another protection. And we have a lot of regeneration, so even our healing bar is bumped, which gonna be like look like this. And well, it didn't give me regeneration or something. Anyway, let's trigger regeneration and see how the healing itself can different, even from the skill and stuff. So now we have a really good movement abilities, and the embedding condition, immobilize, cripple, and chill is lowered on you. You would have trigger to blinding field around you anytime you get disabled, so it is good to fighting even points. you still have only one stun with a skill like we already explained can do great, like it changed the fight for you. You have safe stump, you have stealth to get out, you have invulnerability as defense, you have quickness for better damage using your pistol, and even stability with access to more vigor, more might. And you still have insane condition removal, like your healing now will remove conditions, these two skills remove conditions, this one remove condition, and this one remove all conditions. So we have 2 skills for 4 cleanse, and we still have the others. I like both styles. I feel this one is actually have better survivability and it works great as when you help other people to get damage and kills. You can secure stumps and stuff like this. You can still be able to get them out of a situation. It's really good. I tried it, both build, experimented with them and unranked, because I honestly don't have time or patience to play it ranked and get up to plat and stuff like this and then test it around really good players. I don't even play engineer as main, so I experimented with in PvP and it worked fine, but I'm not really sure how good it would be in your hand, because you know most grenade engineer styles are power or stuff like this and no one play condition. So it would be refreshing to try this, and you can tell me, give me feedback on how good or bad you think it is in PvP. So for some extra tips and tricks about it, let me tell you something, some stuff about it. In water, you would actually notice that rocket boot counts separately than land. I'm not sure if this is a bug or not, it probably is. But if you don't have any ammunition count on land and you get into water, you would still have it full. And it doesn't give you the super speed even with supporting, and I don't know why, and I think it's only move you to about 900, but I'm not sure, it could be 1200. Another thing you need to know also that rocket kick was a built skill for rocket boots. The range said it's 300 for 5 target, but it actually like hit in an area around the animation step, like once your character move, then end of this animation is the area where it hit. So it's not exactly need to be in front of you, but also if it started, like if you're targeting someone in the back and there's someone in front of you, you will not hit the one front. Character will move to the one in the back and hit in the area where he's standing. So it is a little bit weird to see exactly where it lands. And if you didn't know this, blowtorch actually hit in a cone in front of you, so it's not really a small line, it's actually like a cone. That the stun break that you get from utility Google straight, it doesn't instantly just stun break you, it interrupts your skill. So if it stun break you instantly on a stun come and you use casting skill, it will go on an interrupt cooldown. So that's it for the video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. There are gonna be some fights after this to showcase the video in action, and you can see it for yourself, the way I play it and the mistakes I make, since I'm not really that good in this build, and get a whole grip on how it actually works in fights. And I will be seeing you next time.
In my head again, you had your heart set on me, but these feels, they come and go, and they come so easily. Tell me what it is about you that I can't forget, but you're breaking down my walls again, just to set me free. Why do I, baby, why do I love the way you always leave me? Why do I, baby, why do I love the right about. You start slurring your words. Tell me why you have to seem so distant when I'm holding you. Your fingertips are drifting away, and I fucking love how it hurts. Why do I, baby, why do I love the way you always leave me? Why do I, baby, why do I love the touch but never love the feeling? Why do I, baby, why do I love the way you always leave me? Why do I, baby, why do I love the touch but never love the feeling? Why do I, baby, why do I? Why do I, baby, why do I? Why do I, baby, why do I love the touch but never love the feeling? What does perfect even mean? Is there even such a thing? Ooh, can we switch up all the rules and imagine a utopia? Darling, I'm just so fed up with these expectations. They keep weighing me down. My heart is begging me to get the hell out of my head. I'm gonna live inside the upside down for a minute and pretend, honey, I'm a perfect 10. Whoa, whoa, honey, I'm a perfect 10. Whoa, whoa, and if I say it enough, it gets ingrained in my head, and I start to see, honey, I'm a perfect 10. Honey, I'm a perfect 10. Whoa, honey, I'm a perfect 10. Honey, I'm a, yeah. Yeah, I've discussed it with myself, and I'm disgusted with the way we're told to have a certain face. I stood and wait because we aren't pixels on a screen. No, we're human, we breathe. Every single thing we see curated, it's overrated. These expectations, they keep weighing me down. My heart is begging me to get the hell out of my head. I'm gonna live inside the upside down for a minute and pretend, honey, I'm a perfect 10. Whoa, honey, I'm a perfect 10. Whoa, and if I say it enough, it gets ingrained in my head, and I start to think, honey, I'm a perfect 10. Honey, I'm a perfect 10. Whoa, honey, I'm a perfect 10. Honey, I'm a, yeah.
Yeah. Unknown Brain, Marvin Devine. I'm saying bye to all the lies and all the times you cried, saying that I wasn't right, yet I was right by your side. You manipulator, playing games, your friends commentators, and I don't know what you say about our private conversations, but it's got them hating. Thanks to all the rumors you be claiming. It's cool, I'm done with you, so they can throw you a celebration. You gon' hate it when you see me with somebody living better. I'm trying to tell you that me just doing me gon' have you jealous.
I know that I gotta stay away from all your games, yeah. I know that I found somebody else to love me one day, yeah. You'll realize the grass ain't greener on the other side, no. You did me dirty for the last time, so now I gotta say goodbye. So now I gotta say
Yeah, my life is lovely now, I'm focused on me. You said you were about to die, I guess the car is on E. But see, I ain't even tripping, cause I just chose to believe that somebody gon' come around and give me just what I need. I don't wanna see you flying, see you looking down and out, coming to me crying, saying you miss having me around. Gave you chances and you blew it, you so easily influenced. All the times you told me beat it, now you gotta face the music. I'm saying
I know that I gotta stay away from all your games, yeah. I know that I found somebody else to love me one day, yeah. You'll realize the grass ain't greener on the other side, no. You did me dirty for the last time, so now I gotta say goodbye. So now I gotta say Whenever your heart is broken, don't ever forget you're golden. I will find the light in your soul, I'll be there. Never leaving you in the darkness, even when you're out of focus. I will be the light in your life, you'll see it clear. I'll be your inspiration, 'cause I know that you'll do